to the Governance and Audit Committee. This is the 15th of September 2021, remotely via Microsoft Teams. Croeso I Pwyllgor Llywodraethu ac Archwilio Castell Neath Talbot. So yeah, good morning, and just to make you all aware, today's meeting is being recorded. Can I also welcome any members of the public and press to today's meeting, and kindly ask you to observe the meeting only and not speak or participate. Can I please remind everyone to switch phones to silent for the duration of the meeting. And in addition, I refer you to the protocols for remote meetings which have been previously circulated. Namely, microphones should be switched to mute unless you are speaking. Should you wish to ask a question or make a comment, can you please indicate either via the chat function or by raising your electronic hand via Teams. If you cannot do that, then please do interrupt. Otherwise, please follow the protocol. I'll assume that you've all read the paperwork before us today prior to the meeting. Please only use the chat function to indicate if you wish to speak as an alternative to the electronic hand function or to raise any technical issues. When asking a question, can you please indicate the page number, if relevant? And the first item of the agenda is to do a roll call. Therefore, I'm Councillor Del Morgan, Chair of the committee. I'm present. I'll now call on the Democratic Services Officer to take the roll call.
Thank you, Chair. We have Councillor Renkes.
Present.
Thank you. Councillor Freegard. No. Councillor John Miller.
Present, Nicola.
Thank you. Councillor Wood.
Present.
Councillor Mason.
Yeah, present, Nicola, yeah.
Thank you. Councillor Oliver Davis.
Present, thank you, Nicola.
Thank you. Councillor Rachel Taylor. Councillor Woolcock.
Yes, yeah, Chair.
Thank you. Councillor Lynch.
Present, thank you.
Thank you. We've had apologies from Councillor Bassell and Councillor Helen Kerry-Clark. Is there anybody else I've missed with the members, please? No, thank you. Then we have co-opted member Joe Jenkins.
Present, thank you.
Thank you. Audit Wales, Gillian Gillett.
Yes, present.
Thank you. Justine Morgan.
Sorry, apologies from Justine.
Derwin Owen.
No, Derwin's, it's only me from Audit Wales.
Oh, that's lovely. Thank you, Gillian. And then we have officers, Howell Jenkins.
Present.
Thank you. Anne-Marie O'Donnell.
Present, Nicola.
Thank you. And Karen Furlow-Harris.
Present, Nicola.
Thank you. Have I missed any officers? That's everybody. Thank you, Chair.
Thanks very much, Nicola. The next item is Chair's announcements. I have two. Just firstly to welcome Councillor Stephanie Lynch to her first meeting. Croeso, Stephanie, welcome. And secondly, to mention that our director, Howell Jenkins, is standing in today for Hugh Jones. And of course, it's going to be Howell's last meeting with us. So I will ask Howell if you just remain briefly with us at the end of the meeting, just for me to say a few words in relation to that. Diolch, Howell. The next item now is declarations of interest. So if members, can you please indicate if you have any declarations in relation to the items that we have on today's agenda? I'm seeing no hands. Therefore, I take that as being no declarations of interest. Thank you, Diolch. Item 4, minutes of previous meetings, and these start on page 5 of your document. There's a meeting, page 5, which is the meeting held on the 24th of June, pages 5 to 13. And there's a meeting that was held on the 28th of July on pages 15 and 16. Are there any comments on either of those previous minutes, members? Not seeing any comments, therefore, can I have please a proposer and seconder that we accept those two sets of minutes?
Move, Chair.
Second, Chair.
Thank you, John. Diolch, John. All members happy? As ever, please indicate with your hands or jump in if there are any issues you wish to challenge. So we accept those minutes. Diolch yn fawr. Item 5 now then is Audit Wales, Estyn Care, Inspectorate Wales, CIW, reports and recommendations. This report begins on page 17 up to 33. And for this report, I'm going to ask, please, if Karen Furlow-Harris will provide an update for us. The report is for noting, but I'm sure members will have an interest. Karen, croeso.
Thank you, Chair. Morning. Just to give you some background to where this report has come from. So back in June, Derwin Owen, Audit Director, Audit Wales, wrote to chairs of governance and audit committees, setting out Audit Wales' expectation that governance and audit committees will formally consider reports of external review bodies such as Audit Wales, CIW and Estyn. In addition to formally considering those reports, the expectation is that governance and audit committees will assure themselves that there are arrangements in place in the Council to monitor the progress on any recommendations or proposals for improvement contained in those reports. I've included a copy of Derwin's letter in Addendum 1 for you if you want to read that in more detail. So that's where this report is coming from today. It's to enable you as a Governance and Audit Committee to meet those expectations, to formally consider reports of external bodies and to assure yourselves that there are arrangements in place within the Council to monitor the progress on any recommendations or proposals for improvement contained in those reports. In his letter, Derwin does acknowledge that authorities across Wales are at different stages of doing this. We are very much starting at a baseline, so this is an opportunity for us. Although there's a process set out in these papers, there's an opportunity for us to develop it further. So when we next meet in November, when we bring forward some more information on this for you, we can develop it together to make sure that it meets the needs of the Governance and Audit Committee to meet those expectations. So contained in the report is the proposed process. Chair, if it helps, would you like me to bring up the addendums on screen and I can take the committee through them?
If that's easily done, your end, Karen, yes, please do.
Okay.
Yeah.
First of all, I'll bring up the first addenda, the second addendum. Bear with me. Okay. It should be on screen now.
Okay, Karen, I don't know whether our lay member Jo Jenkins can see this because she was trying to get through on telephone, but anyone who can't see it, yeah. Perhaps you could describe it as well anyway.
Yes, yes. Okay, so this flowchart sets out the process. The top part of this flowchart is already in place. So when we receive a report from Audit Wales or Estyn, CIW, that report is considered by the relevant corporate director, head of service, senior management team, and to consider whether or not we're going to accept the proposals for improvement or recommendations that are set out in there. If we're not accepting them at that point, that moves on to a dialogue, obviously, with the regulator. If we accept the proposals for improvement or recommendations, an action plan is populated by the service area, and that action plan sets out the actions that are going to be undertaken in response to those proposals for improvement or recommendations. That is then placed into a cabinet or cabinet board report, is considered by corporate directors group, relevant members are briefed, and then that report is presented to the relevant cabinet board to approve the action plan. Now that action plan may be added to the scrutiny committee forward work programme for monitoring purposes, or other monitoring arrangements might be agreed. For example, the monitoring could be undertaken within the service. The monitoring could be undertaken by the officers delivering the service, or it may be undertaken by the senior management team. So there could be different monitoring arrangements put in place. So we're adding on to the bottom of this process now a register, and it's this register that will be presented to you on a quarterly basis, which will be populated with information to provide you with that assurance that those monitoring arrangements are in place. So if I bring up the actual register, Chair, and I'll take members through that. Okay, it's on its way. Let me know when it's there.
Yes, it's there.
It's there, okay. So this is the register that will be presented to you on a quarterly basis. Now, sitting alongside this register will be a report, a covering report, that will provide a lot more information. That's what's in this register. So the first column will list the name of the report that's been received, the date that is noted by yourselves. Now, for example, I spoke to Non Jenkins yesterday, and Non mentioned that a report that we've just received is the Financial Sustainability Report. So that will be brought forward to your next meeting in November. So that will be added in here into the register, Financial Sustainability Report, and it'll be noted, considered by yourselves in November. We will then populate the rest of the register with the information around which scrutiny committee is going to be monitoring the action plan, or we will reference what those other monitoring arrangements are. We'll arrange a date for you to receive assurance that that monitoring of progress is underway or is happening. We'll add in there the number of accepted recommendations or proposals for improvement that have been accepted by the authority. And then the final column is the date of when you receive that assurance. So although we put in a target date, it's always good to have a target date. It's put in the diary, so something's going to come forward to you. Then the final column is the actual date you receive that assurance. This will be the start. It can evolve. We can amend this. This is not set in stone at this point, and we can amend this as we go through this when you meet quarterly to make sure that it is doing what it needs to do for you as a committee. If I take it off screen, Chair. So the process is there for noting, Chair. So I don't know if members have any questions or any points they require clarity on.
Thank you, Karen. Yeah. I'm sure there will be a couple of questions or comments, but can I just check then that the target dates you mentioned at the end there will be presumably negotiated between ourselves as a committee and the appropriate directorate?
Yes, Chair. When a report comes in from a regulator, it could come in the February. Say it came in January, then the directorate, the senior management team officers consider the report. Then the report, an action plan is produced. Then it's put in the forward work programme of the cabinet. So there is a timing issue here. No, it's not an issue, but it's something that we've got to take into consideration, that we've got to plan that timing in, because you might have just missed a cabinet board or it might missed. So we've got to think about the timing. But yeah, we will populate it with a target date for you.
Okay, thank you. And I'm sure that governance and audit members will have the chance to challenge, if necessary, the targets as we go along. But I'm sure there'll be, adequate cooperation, and we'll manage that. Thank you. Right, okay, I'm looking for hands. Members, anybody want to say anything or ask anything on this item? I think it's pretty straightforward, although it's new. Members can see the recommendation is to note all of this. I'll bring in Director Howell Jenkins to make a comment though before we move on. Howell, diolch.
Yeah, just to confirm to members that a copy of the actual report from the relevant inspectorate will be provided with the relevant papers for each meeting. The responsibility for managing the actual improvements and the recommendations will be with the Cabinet and will be overviewed by the relevant scrutiny committee. And the responsibility of this particular committee is to try and ensure that progress and proper arrangements are in place for that monitoring and for managing the responses to the external audit inspections. So I just wanted to confirm that, because there is going to be perhaps some confusion perhaps as to who has got what responsibilities going forward, and we don't want duplication or anything like that, but what we do want is proper assurance, because this committee, along with your statutory officers, have got the responsibility of ensuring best practice and arrangements are in place for delivering the services that have been inspected. So I just wanted to just reassure you in one way, but also give you a little bit perhaps more clarity on how it will need to progress. I hope that is of assistance, Chair.
Yeah, diolch yn fawr. I'm fully aware that Audit Wales is keen for councils across Wales to be showing through their governance and audit function that scrutiny is happening in a way that they can have assurance about and so on. So yes, our role is always to watch that things are happening properly and that we have assurance in the whole process. But we will have sight of reports. Diolch yn fawr. I have one hand up. It's our lay member, Joanna Jenkins, please, Joe.
Hello. Yes, obviously this is a very different way of working and is going to be a fascinating sort of extension of the work of the Governance and Audit Committee. I'm just conscious that because it is a new way of working, is there going to be a sort of an interim period where Audit Wales are going to be saying, we know you're having to develop practices, but there will be a set date from which point onwards Audit Wales are going to be saying, I'm sorry, but you're not up to speed at the moment, because Karen Furlow, when you introduced this item, you were saying everyone was in a different place. So I'm just interested to know, are we looking at an 18-month sort of introductory, everyone getting to the gold standard, or are we looking at a 6 months to get to the gold standard? Where exactly are we, do you think?
Thank you, Joe. Karen will answer. My take on this is that we start straight away, and that we evolve the system as as best we can. But Karen.
Thank you, Chair. No, as far as I know, and Gillian may correct me, there isn't a target date for us to be up and running. And when I spoke to Non Jenkins yesterday, our audit manager, Non understands where we're starting from and is keen to work with us to develop this as well, to develop this process. So no, there's not a target date in place.
Okay, so we make a start.
I just
Gillian?
confirm that, yeah. We want to see you moving in that direction. Obviously, you're taking the first steps here, and we'll work with you to make sure it gets to the place where we expect it to be.
Thank you very much. I'm sure you'll give us support with that, Gillian, and you and your colleagues. Yeah, okay, Howell?
Yeah, just to confirm that at the next meeting, as the report indicates, all the reports that have been issued since the 1st of April will be brought to the committee for oversight and for consideration, along with the relevant action plans that have already been prepared. So in my view, whilst today is in effect giving you an overview of the process, the work has already commenced, but it will be reported to you and you will be considering it from your next meeting in November, and then every meeting from there. So the reports and the implementation of recommendations and the monitoring of the delivery of the action plan is something then that will again be reported at different intervals to you at each of the meetings. So I think where we've started and it's going to grow, as Karen said, throughout every meeting that you have over the next 12 months and beyond. So I think that it's the learning that we will have from all of that will help you know and have assurances when we come to the annual reporting arrangements that you consider through the annual governance statement. That will be stronger going forward than what it has been in the past.
Diolch yn fawr. So there we are. We've actually made a start basically, and we are populating the register as from the start of the financial year, the current financial year. Okay, so we see that item coming up in the next meeting, and I'm sure members can help us monitor that process going forward, and we may need to tweak the system and so on, but we make a start. Excuse me. Right. I'm not seeing any other hands on screen, so I'm going to move on. The next item 6, is the Internal Audit Update Report. This report is on pages 35 to 49, And as he wasn't here, I'm going to ask the director, Howell, please, to introduce this, and I'm sure Anne-Marie will be helping us out in terms of the details. Howell, do you mind going with the dechrau?
Well, I think the report is quite self-explanatory. It's a report that you have at nearly all your meetings, Chair. It shows the number of, in section 5 of the report on page 37, it shows the number of reports, 12 that have been issued since the last meeting. The work that has been done for all of them, which feeds into all the work that we satisfy ourselves around the council activities. COVID has impacted on the work of the internal audit section, as it has on all functions of the council. But as you can see, there's still a significant amount of work that has been done, mainly by working from home and from reviewing documents, etc., as we have been able to go in and do the normal activities that have been involved. The appendix then shows the summary of the relevant information for the published reports. Anne-Marie has much more information and detail around that. And if there is any questions from members, we're happy to take them and try and respond, Chair.
Thank you. I'll now call on Anne-Marie O'Donnell to give us a few more details before I bring in the members. Anne-Marie?
Thank you, Chair. I just wanted to draw members' attention to report number 8, which is detailed on page 40 of your papers. It's in relation to the school-based staff DBS checks. Members will remember that we issued an interim report in June 2021, and we had a discussion around the lack of information at that time in relation to 99 recent new starters within the authority. The follow-up work that we've done has satisfied us completely that all of the DBS requirements have been complied with, and the assurance rating for that piece of work, the final assurance rating then is substantial. I just wanted to bring that to members' attention because of the discussions that we had following the issue of the interim report, and happy to take any questions members may have about anything else contained within the report.
Thank you, Anne-Marie. Councillor Freegard, Sharon, I saw your hand flash up very briefly there, so it's come back now. Please do come in. You're on mute at the minute.
Apologies for being late, Chair. Yeah, I just wanted to clarify with Anne-Marie, all the outstanding DBS checks that were within schools, they've all been done, yeah?
Yes, that's correct, Councillor Freegard. The issue was the working from home situation. Right. Generally, we would have been able to go into the school and actually see the documents. It just took a bit of time working with the staff based in the schools to actually get them to provide us with the documents, but the documents were all where they needed to be.
Could I just come back, Chair, and just ask, you know, with obviously with COVID, the rising rates in the school, Anne-Marie, and we're obviously bound to have lots of supply teachers in, that will be covered with the agencies, and we would know that would be covered, or?
My understanding, Councillor, is that all of the necessary checks are undertaken by the agency prior to anyone actually setting foot in one of our schools. I do have a meeting with Chris Millis, the head of participation, on Monday coming around how we are going to manage the school audits that will need to be undertaken given the COVID position we're in. It may be, I think it's fair to say that our visits, our physical visits, will be curtailed. And we'll need to agree a different approach. DBS will always be one of the areas that we'll look at whichever way we do it, whether we do it remotely or in the schools, DBS will always be covered.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Sharon. Thanks, Anne-Marie. Any other members with questions or points to raise on any of the items on the report? I'm not seeing any hands. You okay, Joe?
I'm fine, thank you.
Right, okay, I'm going down the list. There are no other hands. Anne-Marie, I think that we thank you for that report then. Diolch yn fawr.
Thank you, Chair.
Item 7 is urgent items. There are no urgent items. So we are now going into a private session for the last substantive item. Now, I have two versions of this, so I'm going to read them both out so that we covered. First of all, that pursuant to section 100A, 4 and 5 of the Local Government Act 72, the public be excluded for the following items of business, which involve the likely disclosure of exempt information as defined in paragraph 12 and 15 of part 4 of schedule 12A of the above act. I also have it written this way, that pursuant to section 100B, 2 and 5 of the Local Government Act 72 and the undermentioned exempt paragraph 14 of part 4 of schedule 12A to the above act, that pursuant also to paragraph 21 of the schedule, and in all circumstances of the case, the public interest in maintaining the exemption considered to outweigh the public interest in disclosing the information. I'm sure I've covered it in both of those. So can I please ask for a proposer and seconder to move into private?
Move, Chair.
Move, Chair.
I have a proposer and seconder. All members happy?